Joined this week by Red Sox outfielder Tyler O'Neill. Worlds colliding a bit for you this weekend here, Tyler. Going back to St. Louis after your time there. What's it going to be like for you this weekend? I'm sure you get to see some friends and visit some old haunts. What's it going to be like coming in as a visitor to St. Louis?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My wife and I, we still spend the off season out in St. Louis. We've got a house there. So that's home base for us for now. So I'm looking forward to getting home for a little bit. Obviously built a lot of good relationships with many people over there. So I'm looking forward to seeing some people over the weekend, playing in the ballpark again, man. It'll be fun.
You've played for two iconic franchises, and people talk about the Cardinal Way. What was it like to come up in that organization, and what does the Cardinal Way mean to you?
Yeah, it was awesome. So I got traded over in 2017. I was in AAA actually with the Mariners at the time, and then I was traded over in 2017 around the deadline. Finished out the season over there and spent one spring training out in Jupiter, Florida, before being able to crack the team early in April that year. So. It was good, man. They focus a lot on fundamentals. Obviously, the rich historic franchise. There's a reason they've had so much success over the years. It starts with the fundamentals, like I said, like defense, base running, doing the little things right. So that was instilled in me early on, and really propelled me. Got me moving in the right way. In all facets of my game early in my career.
Tyler, on this podcast, we ask the tough question, so I got to ask you the big one. Which spring is colder for a fan of the sleeveless look? Is it tougher to be sleeveless in Boston in April or in St. Louis in April?
They don't let us cut. They don't. Well, it's not they don't let us, but it wasn't really a thing to cut off the shirts over there. So, over here it's a little more rowdy, which I kind of like. Me and Duran, we kind of got that going. For BP, suns out, guns out, we call it. So we gotta work on the shoulder tan line. It's a work in progress, of course.
It's a shame that you were traded from Seattle early in your career before you got to debut there. You could have been sleeveless in Seattle, and we would have had a whole thing to unspool for your career. But as we do think about like kind of some of your movements around to different organizations, I guess. How attentive are you to how much do you pay attention to what's happening with the Cardinals? Are you like, oh, they're missing some outfield production over there, or do you kind of focus on where your feet are?
Yeah, I've been following those guys for maybe a little over a week now. I like to do my due diligence with my scouting reports and stuff. So, I'm just keeping an eye on what those guys look like. Good to see them throwing some runs on the board. See the boys doing well as of late. Obviously I want to go in there and sweep them at home. That would be really sweet for me. But yeah, man, it's cool. I'm still rooting for those guys over there. A lot of good guys, like I said, a lot of good teammates and stuff. So hope nothing but positive results for those guys. But obviously when we play them, want to take it to them.
It is interesting to think about some of your career movement, not just from the standpoint of what it's meant on the field, and we should get to that in a little bit, but also, I'm curious about how I get the sense you're a passionate sports fan, particularly with hockey, right? Grew up in BC. Had you were going to be able to stay in the Northwest and be like every once in a while probably drive up to Vancouver for hockey games, and you stayed around with Mariners. Didn't so much happen that way. You were in St. Louis when they beat the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now you are in Boston. How much do you allow your allegiances to transfer? How much are you a Bruins fan in this playoff run?
I know it feels like my hockey team keeps changing, man. Obviously I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan at heart, growing up like that. Followed the Blues for a few years there, man. They had a good run, when I was playing out in St. Louis. So it was good to see those guys. Went to a couple playoff games. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, man, I haven't been able to keep up too much with hockey and playoff stuff. I got a kid at home, and just time is a little shorter and a little more sparse than it used to be. But yeah, I'm a Canucks fan, man. We're playing the Oilers right now, so it's a dogfight of the series. So rooting for those guys right now. But yeah, I've been itching to get out to a Bruins game, man. Obviously, so much rich history over there too. Original 6 team, just such iconic colors, and just such awesome fan base out here. Rooting for those guys would be an awesome atmosphere to be into.
These things can change, obviously, but as we sit here, we could have a rematch in the finals. You could have the Bruins against the Canucks. And, you're becoming a
Yeah.
really popular guy in Boston. Would you try to lay low a little bit if that was happening?
I know it's tugging on two ends of the pole there for me. That would be awesome, man. If it came to a Vancouver Canucks Boston Bruins finale, man, I'm gonna be there for sure. Just don't know what kind of uni I'm going to show up in yet. We'll see.
You got to get one of those where they sew the two together, right? We have the half Bruins, half Canucks shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
you got to get a custom tailor for that one.
It seems like you've done okay in just going with the tailoring with the Red Sox, right? I think that you've been able to make a pretty favorable first impression in your new baseball uniform without having to sew anything together. As I went around the clubhouse recently asking people, describe Tyler O'Neill for me as a player, I think that I heard 6 different people say intense. Do you view yourself as intense? And if so, where does that come from?
Yeah, I'm definitely intense out there, man. I'm a competitor and I want to win. And that's that's the first thought that comes to my mind. So, I think this year I took a mature curve and, I'm just trying to be a tough out at the plate. Most of the time I'm not trying to do too much, sometimes get caught up in the moment a little bit, but for me, it's just about slowing it down, taming it down, and reeling it in a little bit, not trying to do too much, using the whole field, take a walk when it's coming my way. And that's a key for me too. And it's more mental than anything, of course. Obviously I'm all, jacked up and wired up. I love being in the weight room. I love just getting after it and going hard and stuff. But for me, that's my challenge, being able to reel it in and take it back and being able to be calm and focused. So, I kind of tug on a couple different things I lean on a couple of different things to balance that out for me a little bit. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I want to be intense. I want to be a competitor, and I want to be dialed like that. So, it's just about being able to balance it on a day-to-day basis. The game is 160 games in a row, man. It's a long season, so it's that mental grind and being able, like I said, just to balance it all.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about the desire to use all fields, right? And you've done some very intentional pregame work where, you've been trying to get angles of front flips, front toss, in order to be able to drive the ball to right field. At the same time, in games, you're pulling the ball in the air a ton, right? Like you are more than probably any other time in your career, and that's worked pretty well. That's a not a bad formula, especially if you're playing games at Fenway Park. I'm interested in your offensive approach, and as when you see that when you know that the results can be very rewarding for pulling the ball in the air at Fenway, how do you reinforce to yourself, no, I want to use all fields, and why?
Yeah, 100%. I love that green monster, first and foremost. It's awesome. 310 feet, you put it in the air, you're going to have a chance for some slug over there. So it's tempting, it's tempting all the time. And, I feel like, I've gone through a bit of a stretch, over the last couple of weeks where I have been a little more pull happy than I'd like. And it's leaked into my work and it's leaked into the game. And, for me, that kind of comes with discipline. It comes with discipline with my pregame work and my preparation, everything. I was just feel a little frustrated. I was barreling a lot of balls, but I was pulling them foul. It's probably happening for about 2 weeks in a row, and obviously that's not what you want. You want to catch something right and keep it in play and end the at bat and cause that damage that way, and not give the pitcher extra strikes. So. I feel like I've kind of gone through that phase a little bit and I'm working through it and I'm working out of it. So I'm really just trying to work on opening up the field again, really, really being able just to, feel confident to be able to see the ball deep. I'm not trying to force anything to right field or push it over that way, but, being able to see the ball deep and then trusting my prep to, make sure my barrel's on plane and being able to use all parts of the field. So, I feel like I've done a little better job of that, but I can still improve, of course.